Welcome, everyone. First, thank you for being here. Thank you for whatever it took to get through all the cookie dough and the flour that your brain has accumulated in the last 2 weeks. And I'm looking forward to diving into conversations that build wealth. Now, one thing is when I put my presentation up, some of the slides are a bit wordy, some of them are not. That's for you to decide what you want to read, what you want to take from it. So skim it. You don't have to absorb it all. It's for you to decide, basically. But let's get this going here. First thing, let me move our lovely friends here. Happy New Year, everyone. And real quick, everybody, you can take yourself off of mute, give a little shout out, make some noise. We're here. We're in 2024.
Hey, Happy New Year, everyone.
Hey!
Go.
Happy New Year.
Good. Well done. You passed. That's it. End of presentation. No, really, I'm here because I'm so grateful for John Donnelly, for Wellness Alliance, and for all of you, because this is the year of connection. It's the year of fulfillment, and it's the year of conversation. So on to that. Let me see if I can get my screen to cooperate. In our lovely chat, what I would love to do is go in and tell 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself. 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself. Let's see. Some of us know each other, some of us don't know each other. If you'd like to participate, go for it. If it's not your thing, I understand. However, if you have 2 truths and a lie, we'd like to hear it. And we'll just take a quick minute for this. And don't lie about what you ate during the holidays. You can lie about the gifts that you bought. Let me get anybody. There we go. Alrighty. Christine. Married 60 years. Wow. John, you're 45? Dan is a secret agent, former Chippendale dancer. Great to have you with us, Dan. Maureen, founder of a national nonprofit. Is that an international nonprofit? Keith, are you 6'4"? Mark summited Mount Everest from the most polluted city in the world. Alrighty. 10 more seconds. If you can just type a few words, keep it simple, keep it brief. Richard speaks multiple languages. Eva, you fly planes? I know you're a pilot in many ways. John did just become a granddad. Congrats. Yay. Fly fishing. Who did we get? Alrighty, let me go with George Wang. George Wang, if I'm pronouncing it correct. George, tell us which of those, the AI, the Web3, or the gym, which of those is your lie? Let's see if we can get George.
The last one.
The gym? Is the gym your... What do you want to tell us about the gym?
I tried to in 2023 and wanted to continue in 2024, but it doesn't work as planned. Yep. Of course, some timing and my favorite AI and Web3 couldn't release me from those hard times.
All right.
Anyway, that's my goal, dream goal for 2024 as well.
Beautiful. We got your back, don't worry. Let us know how the gym goes. And who did I see here? Thank you for sharing, George. Danielle Spencer, are you there? Traveled to 4 countries in my lifetime, drive a Harley, and I know 3 languages. Which one is it, Danielle? Is she with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
There she
I
is.
I do not know 3 languages. I know two. So the other two are completely true.
Okay, so you do have a Harley
Yeah.
for you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Cool. All right. Thank you everyone for sharing. Now we get to know each other a little bit more. This is fun. Feel free to keep lying to each other all day. Tell some truths though. Let's keep integrity here. And I'm gonna keep moving on here. Alrighty. So what I wanted to present you with first is let me stop sharing my screen and we can all look at each other.
Actually, your screen wasn't shared.
I
Yeah,
just saw that
Jess,
now
you
too. I'm
didn't.
like,
Your
there was
screen
no
wasn't shared.
screen shared.
There we go.
Now we have a screen shared. Okay, so now I'm gonna stop sharing the screen again. Perfect. And what I want to do is just go through how I created Future Empowered and what got me into understanding this vision that I have for myself around creating an impact with conversation. I know it's not exactly the easiest thing to dive into conversations. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes we just want to avoid it. And I want to take you through a story and an experience that I had that completely transformed my outlook on life, my outlook on finance, my outlook on conversations that I want to avoid and hide from. And bear with me, it might be a little bit heavy, but it's a vulnerability story for me, and I'm happy to share with you how this ended up being the birth of Future Empowered. So here we go. It was 4:15 p.m. on a Thursday in March 2017. The sunny bike ride home was a fresh cleanse after a long day with a room full of teenagers. When I saw my partner asleep in bed, I thought it was odd. Within 20 minutes, the paramedics arrived. I stopped doing CPR, and I was suspect number 1. Within 20 minutes, I lost my apartment, a chunk of income, and my best friend. The autopsy took 6 months to tell us of an undiagnosed heart condition. By then, I had already fallen into a toxic relationship with a narcissist, I believe, who would then violently abuse me months later. Within a year of my partner's death, I lost the bits of my soul that I once called home. Breaking free of the trauma, I reconnected with my familiar self in a quiet town in Croatia called Omiš. My solo trip down the Croatian coastline revealed the magic that I had abandoned for so long. Dancing endlessly with kindred spirits, biking miles with no clear path, and climbing through winding streets gave me the peace I was so desperately seeking. This transformation allowed me to be vulnerable about my experience of death. Even more, I learned the value of my own financial habits, which paved the way for me to stay there for a whole month, then return with precious treasures in my heart. This experience had me determined to create a path for others to have freedom and peace of mind in their relationships and their finances. I created a vision where all get to have the resources and support to manage life's triumphs and tragedies while building a legacy. Bringing this vision to my students, I implemented a classroom economy system to instill in them a personal finance foundation that would have them actively growing their communication skills. My classroom and my relationship with my students transformed overnight. Through this vision, I will make an impact in the lives of families and communities as we all strive to synergize our lives with our soul's deepest desires. Future Empowered was born from life's most critical skills, money and communication. And through Future Empowered, my vision of fulfillment, prosperity, and freedom is bringing opportunities to transform the impact of conversations that build wealth. My question for you is, which conversation will you take on today? And now, yes, I get that can be maybe a little bit heavy for us. And I understand that having this tragedy in my life brought me learning on so many different levels of myself, of the world around me, of my relationships, of who I allowed in my life, and the places I allowed myself to be. Now, this is where my passion truly stems from. And it's so that others don't have to suffer in these ways when there are resources, tools, support, conversations to be had. So let's keep going. And now I will share my screen. Don't worry. Let's go a little bit here. And I don't want to get you too wordy, like I said. So, alrighty. How did I get to that point? What had me end up in Croatia for a whole month, pay all my bills, pay my car payment, have my job, and manage to get through trauma and grief? Alrighty. So again, you don't have to read everything on this screen. I'm just going to go through it briefly. The biggest was seeking advice. My godfather was my biggest asset here. I talked with him, and then I would dive in and do deep studies and deep research on finance, personal finance, how to be a millionaire, how to be wealthy. And then I experienced being a millennial who was laid off in the recession. My very first job, so excited, which meant that I was no longer having an employee contribute to my pension. So I created my own personal IRA. I automated savings to go right into my emergency fund every month. Well, every paycheck, actually. I automated my contributions to my IRA, my retirement account, again, from every paycheck. I had life insurance. I created a policy where my beneficiaries could have the option to continue my business and pay off the debts that I have. And then I learned a minimalist lifestyle. So as you'll see, I don't get my nails done. I don't do too many girly things, but I do the minimal. But instead, I put that money towards traveling or towards building my business. Again, investing in ways that are going to help me and help other people. Paying off my car debt, learning how to leverage that debt in different ways, other debts, eliminating the stress and the anxiety of unexpected or expected events as well. And then, of course, having the hard conversations, surviving being uncomfortable, which we can survive it. We just hate to have to do it at the moment. And there we go. What does this connection between financial well-being and communication, what does that have to do with? What's really there for us? So having your finances aligned with your conversations, those go hand in hand. And having them aligned gives us this well-being. Right now, I'm sure we can all take a look of a show of hands. How many of us here get stressed about money? I'll be the first to put my hand up. Yeah. And how many of us here are feeling anxiety with even having this conversation with a partner, a spouse? I'm like, oh, but I wanted to buy the other car. He wanted that car. So really, it's aligning our goals, looking at how this works on problem solving, openly brainstorming what would work. Okay. And then talking to your families, our families, all of us here, about the shared responsibility of taking on these finances. Is anyone here talking to their children about their finances? If you can come off of mute, anybody? Tracy, I know you're in intro biz.
Yeah, I've always taught the kids about money, and they're both really good. And my son, he's got his own place and he's on about buying a second place now. So, and my daughter's saved up a lot of money. She's looking to get her own this year now. So
Beautiful. And what are some of the conversations that you took on with your kids to get to that point that they know?
and to make sure that they saved, but also, to invest in property, because obviously I've invested in property that I've done things up, and my son went and bought a house that needed uplifting and having work done, and now he's made money on that, which my daughter is now going to do. And they're going to carry on, investing in others, do one, sell it, uplift it, next one. And hopefully then they'll be more financially free in sort of like 10, 15 years.
Yes, beautiful. Well done, Tracy. So awesome. And awesome that you could be a resource like that for your kids.
Thanks.
It's huge. Mark, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so when I was my son's age, I was hopeless with money. In fact, I was a compulsive gambler on something called fruit machines. in Canada and the US, you call them slot machines, but they're highly addictive. But anyway, fast forward to now, I now give my son money to invest because he's much better with money than I am. And he's managed to turn £10,000 into £14,000 in the matter of a few months, by dabbling with Tesla stock.
Nice.
Because I've got addicted to gambling. I'd rather let him handle all of that. Anyway, we're a family office and we all own a third of the company. So we're very open about money because we have to be by law.
Thank you for sharing, Mark.
Hmm.
And I want to get to Christine and then Madeline. Madeline, I hope I said it right. Go ahead, Christine.
Well, I always wanted to go to university. I wanted to learn. My father didn't at that time, which is a long time ago. My father didn't believe that women needed education. He said, "Why should I spend money on you? You'll just get married and have children." So I was determined that if and when I had children, if they wanted to go to university, then I would do whatever it took. I did. My son's gone to university. He's got 2 degrees. He's now got his own business. He makes far more money than I do. But at least he learned from my lesson, which is greatest. I don't have to worry about him. He's financially stable. God willing that nothing ever happens, but who knows? But yes, he's managed to do everything that I didn't.
Oh, amazing. And you didn't keep that conversation with your father that said you can't go to university?
No, I think if my father came back now, he would be amazed that I've got 2 businesses and I didn't go to university. But
I'm amazed.
I've collaborated with countries all over the world, and he would be amazed that I'd even been to those countries, because it just wasn't what women did. Women stayed home, looked after the children, did the cooking. In his mind, that was his generation. So yeah, I've achieved more than he thought I would achieve, and my son has achieved more than I was able to achieve. So
Beautiful. Wow, congrats, Christine. I know I've seen some of your work on LinkedIn also. It's really intriguing what you're up to, actually.
oh, thank you. From you,
Yeah.
that's great compliment.
Oh, of course. Hey, we're an alliance here. We're all in this together. And thank you, Christine. And Madeline, real quick. And then we'll try to get you in about 10-15 seconds if that works.
I have an interesting story to tell. I owned a business and my son grew up in the business. And then my business got targeted by a crime syndicate in South Africa. So I lost my business and my home. I had to close it for the safety of the 2 of us. And the wheel turned and I went from formal business into healing trauma and spiritual life coaching. And my son took the role over and I am now living with him. And he's financially taking care of me until I get on my feet again. And we're starting in a non-profit organization together. So me losing what I had and the luxury life that we had, that pained me so much in my losses, actually served as a beautiful lesson for both of us. It brought us back to earth. It brought us back to reality, and it made us realize and appreciate the little things that we took for granted when we had it all. So if I look back now and I think of my son that's 26 and super successful in what he's doing, if the wheel continued that we were in, him having everything as a young child and growing up with absolutely everything with no limits, he would not be the same person as what he is today. So sometimes what we lose is actually serving us better than what we have.
Indeed. Well said. Well said. Yes. And thank you for sharing. And I'm seeing this synergy of Madeline, your family business, Mark, your family business. I'm not sure. There might be some other family businesses, but that's a whole lot of conversation to create a family business. Me, myself, I'm not ready for a family business. So I commend you all really for your efforts in that. And now let's keep going on to these conversations. I'm going to block our view real quick. Okay. Now, again, the conversation, maybe it's a little uncomfortable. Maybe it's something you don't want to have. You don't want to do it today. No, I'll do it next week. Oh, it's not the right time. Here's different ways to just dive into those conversations, because again, we have money, and like Madeline just showed us, money is a tool. It's easy for us to acquire it at times, and it's easy for us to lose it at times. So what's going to keep that energy and that space between us that's going to have us continuing through this journey with success? So here are some ways you can start the conversation. Prepare what you want to say ahead of time, and then speak about what you want to achieve. You know, like, we want to go on a vacation, or Mark has a networking cruise coming up in April, I think it is. How are we going to manage our bills and our budgets so we can get on that cruise? Because if we get on that cruise, then we'll be able to expand our network, you know, and then finding a time and a place to have the conversation. Is it comfortable? Does the other person feel respected being in that place? Is it 5 minutes after they walked in the door after work and they're already stressed from the day? So finding a comfortable spot. And then being the listener, like really being the listener, that you get to just absorb what they're saying, hear it, process it, and then reflect with them, validate their feelings, whether you agree or not. It's really giving them the space to express themselves. And then, of course, the I statements. In my conversations and my experience with the women that I'm helping, with the teenagers, with the families that I have these conversations with, we do a lot of finger pointing, right? Well, it's not me, it's obviously you. You're the one who started this. You're the one who decided to buy that. I never thought we should have bought that. I told you we shouldn't have bought that. And then you end up in this circle going round and round and round, and this cycle repeats and the habits repeat. And then here we are with a drastic situation. Right? So trying to avoid the blame, talk about how you feel, keep an open mind, collaborate, compromise where you need to compromise. It may take some time or maybe quick, who knows, but keeping that openness and being willing to have the compromise, solutions will be there, solutions will be made. Alrighty, if you're not sure what to say and who to say it to, let me try to move this up off of my screen here real quick. Sometimes we don't know how to start the conversation. So for example, with my husband recently, we just had to buy a car. Well, he thought we should buy a BMW or Mercedes. And I said, I'm okay with a Hyundai Tucson. And he was not so happy about the Hyundai Tucson. However, after discussing it and figuring out what our actual goal was for having this car, okay, we need to get around. We need to be able to go to our businesses. We need to go to our meetings. We want to have fun and go on trips. And we also don't want to end up in a lot of debt. So approaching the conversation is a lot of times where we stop and we avoid it, right? So if you were to say, I feel that it's important that we both have a say in how we manage our finances. For some, that might be a good starter. For others, they might not think that's a great starter, you know? So then let's look to another starter. Let's find a way to balance our spending and saving that works for both of us. Okay, maybe that shows compromise, right? Again, I think we could benefit from discussing our financial goals together. How about we sit down and we create a plan? And this is exactly what my husband and I did with the car. Now we're planning saving for a down payment for a property. And, you know, with this year, we're planning a family. Woo! So a lot of conversation to be had. Who would you have these conversations with? Your employer, your friends, your children. Tracy, I know you spoke to your children, Elaine with hers, Madeline. And, you know, if you're not making the money you want to make in your job, are you ready to take on the conversation with your boss about getting a raise? Are you happy with the amount of vacation days that you have? Are your benefits sufficient for the goals that you have in life? So all of these conversations happen in and around our daily lives, pretty much with everyone that's around us. Now, at the bottom, you'll see I wrote self. The most conversations we have are going to be with ourselves. in our heads, what happened yesterday? Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe she's acting that way towards me. So conquering those conversations deep inside and then bringing that conversation out to say, hey, you know what, this can actually work. And here's how we can do it. So again, I encourage you to take on these conversations. If you don't know how, here are some starters to get it going. And again, going back to what is the point of all of this? Which conversation will you have today? Are you aligning your goals around purchases, retirement, expenses? Are you talking about problems or unexpected events? Do you know your current financial status? How much are our bills? What are our expenses? What is the income? How much money are we creating every month? What are the limitations? What am I expecting? What are you expecting? Am I going to spend this money on like going out with my friends, and then maybe later another time I'll spend money on fixing the house, right? And then if you're not sure, go back and look for advice, look for support, either a financial advisor, a mentor, a friend that you trust. Yes, everybody has financial advice. So does TikTok, so does Instagram. Find what works for you, do your research, you know, pull in those resources, those tools that you have hanging in your back pocket there, because getting through this conversation and then seeking support is going to like 10x your wealth building, right? We don't have to do it alone. We don't have to hide from the conversations around it. And if you need any more kind of, what would you call it? Like ways to get into these conversations or understanding how these conversations can get started, feel free. I'm open to that conversation with any of you. And I'm sure here at Wellness Alliance with this network, I'm sure there are so many of us who would be ready to help each other also. Alrighty. Now, what I'm up to in Future Empowered is I am creating a 6-step roadmap for wealth building. The one thing I want to point out, you can take a look at the modules, totally up to you. In every module, you'll notice that there's a conversation that happens. Who is that conversation with? Somebody can just come off a mute and tell me. That conversation is with who? Every single time. Anybody see some, where are my friends here?
Yourself.
Yay! You got it. Thank you. Yeah, so exactly, it's yourself. What about your money goals? What about your savings? Do you know what's happening with taxes? How are you measuring what deductions and credits you're going to get that year? And I'm sure there's maybe some nuances with the UK financial system and other places in the world. However, it all comes back full circle, and we still have the same goals in mind for all of this. Your debt and your credit. Am I going to charge my credit card for this lovely, beautiful dress that I want to buy, but I already know that I'm in mountains of debt, right? I want to build my credit, but now all of a sudden I have an emergency with my business. This is going to take my credit out. So looking at different ways to create a roadmap, but understanding that each time the conversation always comes back to ourselves. All right, I am done my little spiel here. And if you would like to help me improve, and I know Dan is the speaker of all speakers in here too, but I did create a little survey to give me some feedback if you're open to it. It's not mandatory. I hope you enjoyed what I had to present here. And again, thank you for giving me the time and this space and your energy and your listening. It's really, I love it. I'm having a great time. And I would love to see you and talk to you all again, whether it's here or somewhere else. But you can find me over at Future Empowered. My LinkedIn is there, and I'm also going to put those links up because I know the chat gets a little bit crazy. And let me lead you. I'll also share all this in the chat, so don't panic as I switch the slides. I'll put all of this in the chat again. My connections and my links, I'll put that in the chat. And then I want to lead to John for our breakout room questions. Okay, so the questions that I presented that I want to hear, and I'll go between the chat rooms if possible. What are 2 conversations that you will take on for your financial well-being? 2 conversations. Who will they be with? And then the second one, how do you plan to align your health and wealth? So 2 conversations. and then aligning your health and your wealth. And I will stop sharing and we can get right into it.